Hello everybody, and welcome to Deckman Productions, and also welcome to Conahey Rail. Today we'll be doing my second unboxing, and make sure you stay tuned till the end, because my first unboxing video, somebody mentioned, hey, you were supposed to run that at the end of your unboxing video. And sure enough, I watched a couple more YouTube channel unboxing videos, and that's what you're supposed to do, is run it after you unbox it. So we will do that this time, and sorry about that, but getting the hang of these unboxing videos. At any rate, today we have a special delivery from Patrick's Trains from Wheeling, West Virginia. And there's a little story behind this, and I'll save that here for a few minutes, but let's get this unboxing video done. And so today I'm going to use my mini samurai sword here to unbox this, and then again, maybe not. Little too. I'll probably end up cutting my arm off or something. It's razor sharp. But anyway, we'll use something more sensible. My favorite box cut knife. And yeah, it's an MTH box, but I'm pretty sure I already know what it is. Of course, if you looked at the title of my video, you probably already know what it is too. So let's go ahead and unbox this, and we'll get it from there. And so I'm kind of excited to have this. I'm trying to be careful because I do like to keep my boxes. I don't care about the shipping box. I just don't want to cut into the box that the train is in. Because I'm crazy that way. I like to have the original box. As far as the original shipping box, I don't care about that. I just want the original shipping box. And so let's see what we got here. Toss that to a side. So we packed this pretty well. So we'll unbox this, and whoa, almost lost it. Ta-da! Oh, wait a minute. It's another box. Yay, we get to do a double unboxing. That's cool. So we get to do a double unboxing, and I'm just making sure that you guys can see everything here as I'm doing this. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. So let's open up this box. And this is where I'm really going to be careful, because this is the factory shipping container of what I'm getting or got. And let me tell you, when I ordered this from Patrick's Trains in Wheeling, West Virginia, I never dealt with them before, but they were pretty friendly. And I even called at closing. I figured they wouldn't answer the phone, but he did. He answered the phone, because they were supposed to close at 5 o'clock. And he answered my questions, and I was pretty happy with that. So, what do we have here today? Because actually, it's Lionel and not MTH. Fooled you. At any rate. Sometimes I crack myself up. But at any rate, this is what we got here. Okay, so we have a Penn Central Legacy SD45. So that's what came in the mail, and we are going to unbox this as well. And as we do, I'm going to tell you a little story about it. So the Lionel Legacy locomotives are pretty much built to order. So if you didn't pre-order one, sometimes hobby shops will order extra ones. But I really wanted this Penn Central SD45 because I wanted a transition from Penn Central to Conrail, because I run a lot of Conrail stuff. And by the time I saved up enough money, I lost out on it. And I was kind of upset. So I was on a YouTube live show on PGH Train Fanatics. He just so happens to offer building fronts in O gauge and G scale. And I said, you know, I missed out on this SD45, Penn Central SD45, and I really wanted it. And I couldn't find it anywhere. And a YouTube member by the name of Burnsies went out of his way not only to find the item that I really wanted, but, you know, messaged me and sent me a link as to who had it and it was in stock. Sure enough, I called up Patrick's Trains, because that's who he said had it, and the guy actually verified that he had it in stock. So, you know, he was nice enough to answer the phone during closing, and I said, look, I'm not going to hold you up. As long as you have it in stock, I'll just order it on the website. That way you can go home to your family. And so that was it was just a great experience all the way around. And look at this beauty, the SD45 here. Now I'm going to show you how to pull these out of the styrofoam case. I'm going to give you some tips, because you just don't want to go yanking on the ribbons and pulling it out. So I'm going to give you some tips on how to do this, because what happens is if you pull this out improperly, what could happen is the trucks on the locomotive can turn while you're pulling it out, and if they turn, these things are packed so tight you could actually break the steps off in the styrofoam casing, and people have already done this. So I'm going to show you how I do it. A lot of hobby shops recommend you use 2 people, but 1 person can do this. Alright, so I have it set up a little higher so you guys can see. But once again, you have to be careful when you go to pull these Lionel Legacy locomotives, the diesel locomotives out. Because if you just go yanking, and if you're not paying attention, the trucks will turn inside of the styrofoam because they're packed so tight in here, and you could actually damage the steps on the front or the rear of the locomotive. So you sort of want to like work this gently, especially after paying for what you paid for these things. And I've always gave them a little tilt like this, you know, and then sort of like work it out. And you want to work it out a little at a time. You just don't want to go pulling on these things. And then I'll double check and make sure that the trucks are not turning. And if they do, I'll straighten them out. And it looks like this one wants to turn, but see that? This one here wants to keep turning, so I'll make sure that I straighten the truck out. There we go. So now we're at the point where it's pretty loose. So now you want to put your hand up in here, sort of like wiggle it, and there you go. Have it. There she is. She's right out of there. So let's scoot this up. Put this up here. So now we'll go ahead and take our ribbons out and take a good look at this. It's an EMD SD45, which is what I really wanted here. And like I said, the EMD SD45 was the first model locomotive to feature or to have the 20-cylinder engine put in it. And unfortunately, the 20-cylinder engine was a design flaw, and they kept breaking crankshafts. So basically, EMD was trying to design a locomotive that would take the place of two locomotives horsepower-wise. And if the crankshaft held up, it would have been a good idea. So we'll go ahead and take the styrofoam out, and you can use stuff like the eyedropper to remove the styrofoam pieces. And I'll tell you what, these things sold very fast. I am surprised actually that Patrick's Trains had one, because all the other stores I tried, I never actually heard, I'm not gonna lie, I never heard of Patrick's Trains until the YouTube user, Burnsies was his name, or the YouTube username, Burnsy. We were chatting on that PGH Train Fanatic during the live show, and Burnsy said, yeah, Patrick's has one, you might want to check it out, it's showing in stock. I'm like thinking to myself, that's impossible, because these Penn Central SD45s are like sold like hotcakes. And sure enough, when I called them, oh man, this is a beauty. Wow. Oh man, I'm just blown away from this model here. Oh my god, this thing is gorgeous. But I am just, you just don't know how happy I am right now. But when he helped me out like that, the community helping each other, it's such a great thing. And I'm just going to pre-warn you guys, I'm not going to run the smoke unit. If you ever notice on any of my locomotive videos, I'm not running the smoke unit. Maybe it's from my G-scale days when I was in the G-scale, but when I was in the G-scale, me and smoke units did not get along. So, needless to say, I either melted them, blew them up, and I tried to follow the directions that they said, but I ended up destroying the smoke units in my G-scale locomotives, most of them. So when I got in the O gauge, I was always afraid to run the smoke unit. So there we go. We got her unboxed here, and we'll take a closer look. So there it is, in all its glory. The EMD SD45. I'll have to research these. I know a lot of the Penn Central were what they call patched to Conrail. And people always ask, what does patched mean? So basically, when a railroad takes over another railroad, to save on paint, or painting the whole entire locomotive, they'll take and they'll mask off a square block and then paint it white, and then put their own road numbers in black on there. So basically that's a patch. And then the same thing for the name and if there's a logo. So they would take, like Penn Central would have been white. They'll take white paint and block that out and put Conrail. Most of them didn't have that. Most of them were actually painted black over. The logo was painted black over, with black paint, that is, and then they just had a CR logo on the back of them. So there was a couple different ways that they did that. And there's plenty of pictures of Penn Central, Reading, Erie, Lackawanna that were all patched over to Conrail until they were eventually repainted in the blue colors. Some locomotives were scrapped before they got into their blue paint, but I'm not sure about the SD45, so I'll do a little research as we move along with this video. So I had the Lionel Legacy Penn Central 6235 SD45 on the track, and I was looking for a Penn Central locomotive because I wanted to do a transition era from when Conrail took Penn Central over. Quick background history: Penn Central was formed with a merger of Pennsylvania Railroad and New York Central, and then became Penn Central, which shortly afterwards, the Penn Central became one of the worst failed bankrupt railroads in American history. And I realize that some people probably won't like the Penn Central, or the Pennsylvania Railroad fans might not like Penn Central. But it's still part of railroading history either way. And I want to do a transition period from when Conrail actually took Penn Central, and as well as other railroads over, like Reading and Erie, Lackawanna. There was a couple other ones, and turned them into an actual profit-making railroad. So when I was looking for different Penn Central locomotives, I like EMD locomotives. So when Lionel did the RS11, I'm like, nah, I really don't want that. They came out with a GE U33C. I'm like, nope, still not what I want. And when they did this SD45, being an EMD fan, and I don't have an SD45, I was like, yes, this is it. So that's why I picked Penn Central and the SD45. It's a perfect transition era locomotive, which started the Conrail Rainbow years. At any rate, I wanted to do a small review, but let's go over some historical facts. I reached out to a YouTube friend of mine, Ravenhawk6910. He has a YouTube channel as well, so make sure you check him out. But he is pretty good with train, railroad, and locomotive historical facts. So he helped me put together these historical facts. So the EMD SD7045 Penn Central number 6235 was built in 1968. It eventually became Conrail in 1976 when Conrail was formed. However, it was eventually sold to CNW, Chicago Northwestern, and it became 6562 in 1983. Ravenhawk sort of lost the trail of what happened to it after that, but I did run into one website that did, or supposedly knows what happened to it. So whether the information is accurate or not, I don't know. But according to this one website that I ran into, after Chicago Northwestern bought it in 1983, They eventually traded it back to EMD in 1986, and then EMD decided to scrap it at St. Louis Auto Shred. So, unfortunately, this, according to one website, this locomotive is no longer with us. It was scrapped. But if you guys have any information otherwise, please let me know and put it in the comments, because this video will have comments enabled. So here we are, up close and personal with the EMD SD45. As I mentioned previously, the EMD SD45 was the very first model locomotive to receive the 20-cylinder diesel engine. Previous locomotives were all 18 cylinders. Well, the road locomotives, of course, and I'm not talking about switchers. But so what EMD was trying to do was get the horsepower of two locomotives with one with the 20-cylinder, which they pretty much succeeded in doing that, except for it did have a design flaw, and the crankshafts were snapping and breaking on them. It took a while for that to happen, so some railroads opted to keep the 20-cylinder engine in them and just kept crankshafts in stock. So whenever it broke, they would just replace it. And then the majority of railroads just took the 20-cylinder back out and then put an 18-cylinder in it. So I went online and I found a photo of the Penn Central 6235. And it looks like Lionel captured it pretty well. I mean, it looks just like the real locomotive. They did the headlights correctly. The Penn Central 6235 had top-mounted headlights, so not nose-mounted. So Lionel got that correct. So we'll handle the camera here by hand. So we'll take a look here. And they did an excellent job on the details. So take a look at that chain going across there. The handrails painted yellow, which is correct according to what the picture that I see. The details on this locomotive are really, I mean, this is a beautiful locomotive. Lionel did a very good job, and I'm not too detailed with a review. I'm sure there's other channels that do a better review than I am, getting into, you know, whether it's Bloomberg trucks and all that stuff. I don't really get into all that. I just do a quick review of, you know, the locomotive, how it performs, a little bit of historical facts, but I don't get too far into details of what side of the front door is correct, and if the trucks are correct, or if the horn's the right sound, or that's there's other channels that do a better job at that. But I just wanted to show it off a little bit before we make our run. And like I said, this thing's pretty impressive. And even if you're not a Penn Central fan, just the EMD SD45 itself is a really cool locomotive, in my opinion. So we'll make a run of this so you guys can see it in action. Okay, as promised, I will making a quick run by. You can see the full video of this train next weekend, and then eventually I will be making a Conrail Penn Central transition train, where Conrail actually came in and took Penn Central over after it went bankrupt. Unfortunately, when I made this train up, I was looking for a couple tank cars to add to it, and then after looking through everything that I have, I do not have a proper time period tank car to add to this train, because this train was obviously before 1976, so I'm trying to be in the early 70s with this particular train. The newest tank car that I have is, I think I found a 1980 or 81, but I don't have any tank cars from the 70s. So if you guys can put in the comments and suggest a 70s tank car that I can add to this train, would really appreciate it. So with no further ado, we will get the ball rolling here.
This is the dispatcher. Do you copy? I copy that. Over. Very good. Start up and hold. Yes, sir. Start up and stand by. Out.
And thank you for watching another DAC Band Productions video.